After the historic Trump indictment, we are covering new reaction this morning and what happens next for the former president and current candidate. And a breaking news update regarding the shooting on Tree Lane. Who police have arrested and what happens next?
And on this last day of March, we do have a first warn alert day for the potential for some severe weather later this afternoon. The details coming up.
All right, let's get to it this morning, folks. It's Friday. We have a lot to get to. Not only the indictment of former President Trump, we have that breaking news on the shooting yesterday on Tree Lane, and we have severe weather in the forecast. Just a little taste of what may be to come with those thunderstorms that may have woke folks up overnight.
Yeah, we had a few thunderstorms overnight. Thankfully, none of that severe, but it may have woke you up just after midnight. It's going to be mainly later this afternoon, say after 3, 4 o'clock, up until about 8 o'clock. That's going to be that window of the potential of seeing some high winds, hail, definitely heavy rain. And we can't rule out a couple of tornadoes developing later this afternoon, especially to the southwest of Madison. And eventually that line of storms will likely roll through the Madison area. Therefore, we have an enhanced risk of severe weather on a scale of 1 to 5. That is a category 3, a slight risk to the north, and even a category 4 or a moderate risk down across southern Grant into Lafayette County. Kind of unusual to get that moderate risk this far north this early, but that's what we're going to deal with. Right now, things are quiet. The storms that we had overnight are pushed on to the north and east. So Madison right now looking at dry weather. The roads might be a little bit wet, obviously, this morning with that rain overnight. 43 in Madison, 44 in the Dells. It's already in the low 50s in Monroe, Platteville, 52 also in Janesville. I think most of the rest of the morning will be fairly dry, maybe a passing shower, but I think it'll be later this afternoon when that intense line of storms rolls through into the early evening before moving on to the north and east. So commuting this morning should be okay. Just cloudy skies into the early afternoon. We'll look at some heavy rain, may cause some ponding of water, and also some heavy winds expected for that evening commute. More coming up.
All right, Kelly, thank you. Now to our breaking news from overnight on the latest on that shooting in Madison yesterday. Madison police are now ruling it a homicide, and they have identified 2 suspects. Both of those suspects have been arrested with the help of Sun Prairie Police and the Dane County Sheriff's Office. The 2 suspects will face charges of first-degree intentional homicide and being felons in possession of a firearm. Now, it is our policy not to name those suspects until they're formally charged. The investigation is now being handled by the Madison Police Department's Violent Crime Unit. All right, now let's get to the big story of the day and the indictment of former President Donald Trump. Here is a live look at Mar-a-Lago this morning where the president and his team are. Sources say that Trump is expected in court in Manhattan Tuesday. This, of course, follows that historic indictment surrounding the hush money grand jury investigation involving Stormy Daniels. Now, at this point, we do not know what the charges will be because the indictment is sealed. However, sources are telling CNN that it will include more than 30 counts related to business fraud. Meantime, Trump is calling the indictment political persecution. His lawyers released a statement saying that they will, quote, vigorously fight for this. CBS News' Jared Hill is outside of the courthouse in Manhattan with what we know about the indictment and the reaction.
Heavy security and a handful of protesters were outside the Manhattan District Attorney's office overnight after a grand jury indicted former President Donald Trump.
We're witnessing American history. This is the first time a former president has been charged with a crime.
The indictment is under seal, though the Manhattan DA and grand jury had been probing allegations that business records may have been falsified to hide an alleged hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. This would have happened before the 2016 election. Key witness and ex-Trump fixer Michael Cohen claimed Trump directed him to make that payment. Trump has repeatedly denied it.
They have nothing.
Trump, who has launched a 2024 presidential bid, slammed the indictment in a statement as political persecution and election interference.
2 sources familiar with the matter tell CBS News that former President Trump could be publicly arraigned here at the court on Tuesday, although the planning is still fluid and things could change.
He will be processed. He will have a mugshot. He will get a booking number. He will give fingerprints.
Multiple top Republicans came to Trump's defense last night.
I think the unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States on a campaign finance issue is an outrage.
This is going to destroy America. We're going to fight back at the ballot box. We're not going to give in.
Top Democrats have called for the legal process to play out peacefully and without interference, including Representative Nancy Pelosi, who released a statement saying, in part, no one is above the law and everyone has the right to a trial to prove innocence. Hopefully, the former president will peacefully respect the system. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The White House has not yet weighed in on the indictment, though we will see President Biden later today when he travels to Mississippi. Former President Donald Trump, of course, also subject to other ongoing investigations, including the Department of Justice probes into the January 6th Capitol assault and Trump's handling of classified materials at his Mar-a-Lago estate. There's the Fulton County, Georgia investigation as well. The DA is also investigating efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. And new this morning, we have reaction from Wisconsin lawmakers on the indictment. 5th District Congressional Republican Scott Fitzgerald tweeted out in part that the indictment of former President Trump is just the latest in the weaponization of government against conservatives. Then there's Senator Ron Johnson, who says that with all the problems facing our country, a George Soros-funded DA issues a political indictment against a former president. Then there's Democratic representative of the 2nd District, who agrees with the Manhattan DA, tweeting out that no one is above the law, not even a former president. As this story develops over the next few days and the coming weeks, really, we will send out updates through the News 3 Now Channel 3000 app. You can find it wherever you get your apps. Make sure you sign up for push alerts, too. In more local news this morning, police officers from Madison and Fitchburg responding to a shots fired call last night. They say 2 doors from separate buildings near Allied Drive and Mike McKinney Court were struck by gunfire. There are no reports of any injuries. However, there were people inside the buildings at the time of the shooting. A total of 10 cartridge casings were found. With Election Day next Tuesday, a local organization says that a Cottage Grove church is stepping out of line. The church asked its congregants to not vote for a certain candidate. The Freedom from Religion organization says the taxpayer should not be subsidizing political speech from a tax-exempt entity. In a church bulletin sent out on Sunday, Father Brian Dooley wrote, "It's a moral sin to render aid to the cause of abortion. As a Catholic, I urge you, for the salvation of your soul, do not vote for her in the Supreme Court race." Annie Laurie Gaylor, co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, says Father Dooley went too far.
Leafletting and going door to door, they have complete ability as a voter to make their mark, but they can't use their church resources or their nonprofit tax-exempt resources to do that work for them.
According to a constitutional law expert that we spoke with, this situation is much more complicated. Howard Schweber, professor of American politics at UW-Madison, says the courts have become rather unpredictable, and the notion of separation of church and state has become more relaxed in recent years. Pastor Dooley, we're also hearing from again. He says, "Thank you for allowing me to clarify. My heart is filled with love for you and our nation. My comments are coming from a place of love. I don't want anyone of any faith to suffer eternal fire in hell for supporting the killing of the unborn. You are in my prayers." Coming up here at 6:08 in our morning sports, we'll see how the Brewers fared on opening day against the Cubs. And as college basketball reaches the Final Four this weekend, we're sharing some bloopers from our News 3 Now Bracket Challenge. Stay with us.
At Pick and Save, we want our fresh produce to meet your expectations, which is why we do up to a 27-point inspection to check for things like color and scarring. Because when it comes to fresh, higher standards mean fresher produce. Pick and Save, fresh for everyone.
Spring savings start now at Furniture and Appliance Mart. Dishwashers start at $12 per month. Refrigerators start at $13 per month. Washer and dryer pairs start at $18 per month. Plus special financing options for any budget at Furniture and Appliance Mart inside Ashley.
Soon you'll head to the polls to decide the balance of the Supreme Court. The choice is clear: an extremist or a common sense judge, Judge Janet Protasewicz. She'll protect our rights and our freedoms. She'll be fair, impartial, and independent. Judge Janet Protasewicz believes in women's freedom to make their own decisions when it comes to abortion.
I'm Judge Janet Protasewicz, and I'm asking for your vote by April 4th. ready, let's eat naturally. Natural recipes, great taste is guaranteed.
Natural recipes. Beneful. Eat happy. Try new Incredibites. Just for small dogs.
Strawberries, blueberries, and the cherry on top. Fairlife, with 50% more protein, 50% less sugar, and a creamy taste. Turn scrumptious into scrumptious. Fairlife, ultra-filtered milk.
We're doing everything we can to reduce our carbon footprint.
We are 100% employee-owned. We are Barnes.
We know that a healthy green lawn is top of mind this time of year. Go with the Barnes 4-Step Lawn Care Program by scheduling a free consult with a licensed lawn care professional. Welcome to Barnesville. From planting to tree and shrub pruning, seeding to sodding, mowing to mulching, and everything in between. Discover the Barnes difference. Get started at barnesinc.net.
I want to ride this pony, but I suffer from low E.
Millions of people are suffering from low energy, commonly known as low E.
With my low E, I can never finish this trending dance.
Low E has hurt my performance in the bedroom. I haven't been able to make the bed in years.
Now there's hope. Planet Fitness replaces low E with Big E, which keeps you energized and glowing all day. Simply join through the free PF app. $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, April 5th.
That's my boy.
I'm voting for Gloria because she's committed rebuilding State Street.
I'm voting for Gloria because she will invest in nonprofits, entrepreneurs, and small businesses.
I believe in Gloria because she supports body cameras for our police officers, promoting safety, accountability, and trust.
I have been drafted to run for Madison mayor because people know that I care about our city. Vote Gloria Reyes on April 4th. Let's move Madison forward together.
Spring savings start now at Ashley. Sofas start at $8 per month. Queen bedroom sets start at $13 per month. Sectionals start at $17 per month. Plus, choose from 6 months interest-free financing or low monthly payment options. And free local delivery. Ashley.
When your door is always open, so is the fridge. At Pick and Save, however you shop, in-store, pickup, or delivery, you get the same great prices, deals, and rewards. That's a win-win-win. Pick and Save. Fresh for everyone.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning.
Well, the News 3 Now Bracket Challenge is over. The morning team came in second to the sports team. We had a lot of fun filming the promo for our Bracket Challenge, and we wanted to show you some outtakes and bloopers. Hope you enjoy.
News desk breaks.
Good one, Josh. Good one, Josh. Burn. Eric Franke, more like Aaron God dang.
That was.
You look like a psychopath.
What's the next joke?
Oh, I need a sheet when I do it.
Shane Hogan?
Ring out a Hoya.
All right, Josh, you got to take Bama over, I don't know who's winning that game. Yellow. All good picks. Wait, ready? Blue and yellow. What do you mean, who should I pick? We're taking Marquette all the way. Ring out a Hoya.
I got it! I got it! I got it! Can you write? Because I've got a big owie on my hand. Indiana, what do you think of them?
They're in the Big Ten, just like my Badgers.
Oh boy, I spelled that wrong.
Marquette's Sweet 16, and then they're done.
Tennessee?
Tennessee.
Because you're the only 10 I see.
Yeah.
They're in the Big Ten, just like my Badgers. What do you think?
I don't even know what FAU is.
I don't know what's FAU.
What? They're in the Big Ten.
They're
just
in the
like
Big
my Badgers.
Just like my Badgers. I think we got it.
We're going with
Kansas.
It's a lot of red. Yeah,
so much for Kansas, huh?
you have a strategy you're going to try next year.
I'm just flipping a coin because
might as well.
After the first round, I mean, just about anything goes because it's March Madness for a reason, and we've got some madness coming our way. It looks like this afternoon. We do have a first warn alert day. We did have some storms overnight, but thankfully it's quiet for now into the early afternoon hours. But say after about 3 o'clock, we're going to see some strong storms roll in. Can't rule out some high winds, hail. Definitely going to see some heavy rain. Can't rule out a couple of tornadoes. So make sure you keep abreast of the latest forecast and download our First Warn weather app. All right, so it looks like the severe weather threat will be after 3 o'clock up until about 8 o'clock. And this will be developing to the south and west originally and then eventually headed through all of southern Wisconsin. It's going to be mild this afternoon with temperatures in the lower 60s. Then we're talking about some colder air on the backside of this storm system. May produce a little bit of light snow waking up tomorrow morning. Yes, the first day of April. All right, so we had the showers and thunderstorms overnight. Pretty quiet now across most of southern Wisconsin. In Madison area, the Dane County, we're looking at dry weather this morning. And I think most of the morning into the early afternoon hours should be quiet. It won't be until later this afternoon, say after 3 o'clock. We'll start to see some severe weather break out in Iowa, a moderate risk of severe weather. Not often you see a moderate risk of severe weather this far north this early in the season, but that's what we're dealing with. From Madison down to the south, we do have an enhanced risk of severe weather on a category of 1 to 5. That is a category 3, slight risk up toward the Adells going into the afternoon. What a range in temperatures. 30s to the north, 40s in Dane County, low 50s from Platteville over to Janesville this morning. That's what's going to fuel some of these storms, that contrast in temperatures as the storm system moves through. Right now across Dane County, 41 in Sun Prairie and Cottage Grove, 45 right now in Oregon, already up to 48 in Perry and Belleville. So we're looking at some isolated showers later this morning into the early afternoon. Really won't be until after 3 o'clock. We'll start to see some of these storms flare up out of Iowa, northern Illinois. As we get towards 7, 8 o'clock, that's when these systems going to really pull through. And I wouldn't doubt if we don't see a line of intense winds and heavy downpours with this as it passes through between 7 and 8 o'clock. And then I think for the rest of the evening, it should be dry before the colder side of the storm system rotates on in. Could produce some light snow in the morning hours. Then we're just looking at some winds and colder weather. Heavy snow, though, if you're going to be traveling to the north from Eau Claire to Marshfield, could be talking about 6 inches of snow. So if you're going north of, say, Toma up through Black River Falls, you will encounter some of that traffic problems with some of that snow. First warn forecast, the alert day today. Some minor accumulation around here, less than an inch in Madison tomorrow morning. We warm up in the 50s. Another strong storm system could bring us some more storms, it looks like, early next week.
All right, Kelly Slifka, thank you very much.
Less than a month after firing Tony Granato, Chris McIntosh has found his man to turn Wisconsin hockey back into Wisconsin hockey. Mike Hastings has been named the program's new head men's hockey coach. Hastings spent the last 11 seasons with Minnesota State, where he turned around the program, leading the Mavericks to 8 conference titles, 8 NCAA tournament appearances, and 2 Frozen Fours. So why leave Mankato for Wisconsin?
It was a quick answer. It's Wisconsin. And I believe that. You know, I'm somebody that has chased the puck around the rink for a long time. And I just believe it's a special place, from the balance piece of the athletic, the social, the academic. I think the University of Wisconsin is incredibly hard to beat.
Staying on the ice, Wisconsin freshman KK Harvey has been named USCHO's Co-Rookie of the Year. This comes after she became the second Badger freshman in program history to earn All-American status. Harvey was also named the WCHA Rookie of the Year after tallying 38 points during her first season in Madison. Thursday morning was Wisconsin's 3rd practice of spring ball, but this one was a little different. The Badgers put on the shoulder pads for the first time, and you could feel the juice. It just felt like football. And these next couple of days are very important to Luke Fickell and his staff. It's a time to learn a lot about your team. More specifically, who's got it and who doesn't.
I think when you start to see this, you start to see the mental side of things, the toughness side of things, the emotional side of things. As you get to day 3, 4, and 5, you get to know a lot more about your guys, you know, even though you do it towards the end. And so that's why I kind of said after, we're going to continue to challenge these guys and push them, because we're going to find out a lot more about them as people that will tell us, well, the success we'll have in the long run.
Jordan Davis is no longer a member of the Wisconsin men's basketball team. The junior guard put his name in the transfer portal after a season where he lost his starting job to Connor Esigian. Davis averaged 5 points and 3.5 rebounds per game this year. Opening day for the Crew. Brewers taking on the Cubs at Wrigley. Things going well until the third inning for Corbin Burns. Dansby Swanson rips a single to right to score the game's first run, and then a wild throw to first scores another one. Cubs scored 4 in the inning and shut out the Brewers 4-0 the final. It's the third time in the last 4 years they've lost on opening day. Back to you.
Coming up next, a study that could change how we picture dinosaurs, like the T-Rex.
Watch News 3 now at 6 with Eric, Charlotte, Gary, and Zach. Weeknights.
Cobison Buses, now hiring.
My name is Mike Williams. I've been driving school bus off and on for 21 years. Here at our terminal, we're kind of like a family, too. Somebody has an issue with a bus, other people kick in and help and get the job done.
I'm going for Judge Janet
Protasewicz? You don't need to know how to say Protasewicz to know that Judge Janet believes in abortion rights, fairness, and public safety.
Protasewicz.
A man brutally attacked and sexually assaulted a woman. The victim spent endless nights unable to sleep, plagued by nightmares. Judge Janet Protasewicz called the offender many females' worst nightmare, but she cut his sentence to only 2.5 years in prison. Judge Janet's dangerous judgment puts our families at risk. That's why sheriffs throughout Wisconsin support Dan Kelly. He's the only candidate we can trust to keep violent felons off our streets. On April 4th, vote Justice Dan Kelly. Fair Courts America is responsible for the content of this advertising.
An important message for Americans age 50 to 85.
How's John?
Oh, much better.
That was quite a scare.
Got us thinking about a lot of things, like life insurance. If something happened to either one of us, we'd really be in trouble. But where can we get coverage with John's health problems on a fixed income?
Go with the sure thing, Colonial Penn.
Friends have been telling friends about Colonial Penn guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance for more than 50 years, and with good reason. If you're between the ages of 50 and 85, it's a sure thing. Your acceptance is guaranteed because full benefits are not paid in the first 2 years. You don't need a physical exam, and we won't ask about your health. You cannot be turned down. And the price? Options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day.
I don't know. What if the price goes up as we get older?
With Colonial Penn, your rate is another sure thing. It will never increase. That's because it comes with something you won't find in other policies, a lifetime rate lock. The rate you start with is the one you keep. Guaranteed. And you should know this coverage can last a lifetime. Some insurance policies end once you reach a certain age. Not this one. As long as you pay your premiums, it's yours for life. Call the number on your screen now, and we'll send you free information by mail. You have nothing to lose, because at Colonial Penn, your satisfaction is another sure thing. Every policy we issue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you've been thinking about getting life insurance to help your family with funeral expenses and other bills you may leave behind, call for free information today. There's no obligation, and you'll receive a free beneficiary planner just for calling.
Same time next week?
Sure thing.
Call 1-800-248-6940 for your free information and your free beneficiary planner. That's 1-800-248-6940. There's no obligation. 1-800-248-6940. Call now.
Extremist Dan Kelly wants abortion banned, even in cases of rape and the health of the mother. Kelly will uphold Wisconsin's 1849 abortion ban that strips women of their freedom to make personal decisions on abortion.
Cobison Buses, now hiring.
Working with Cobison, it's definitely been great because of the flexibility. If you do need time off, they work around you. They definitely try to make it a company that's based for you.
Visit Cobison.com to apply.
We want to thank Kevin for sharing his morning with us. More bird pictures. I swear that people are trying to throw me softballs because I don't know birds that well. So they're like, okay, how about the easy ones?
So, yeah, stump us.
It's a blue jay. I'm 99% sure that's a blue jay.
Yeah. I saw a cardinal in the snow the other day. Boy, it was just
Isn't that
bright
beautiful?
red.
They just pop right off the snow.
Oh, man.
Isn't that cool?
Beautiful.
Hey, hoping to see a lot more wonderful pictures for you as we transition into spring here, so share them with us. Use the hashtag MyNews3Morning when you post on social media. I found this I thought was interesting. A new study published in the journal Science suggests that predatory dinosaurs like the T-Rex may have had lips that covered their teeth. Check this out. An international team of researchers examined the tooth structure and other features of this reptile group. And look at this. Like, you see how the mouth and the lips kind of like cover the teeth instead of them being shown, like the one in the upper picture here, the one where you see the teeth kind of hanging over the lower jaw. So they found that dinosaurs' mouths resemble that of lizards instead of crocodile. It means they believe that the prehistoric predators like, the T-Rexes and the velociraptors, they had scaly lizard-like lips covering and sealing their mouths. Scientists that did the study say that the lips most likely didn't have muscles, though, so it wasn't like they were puckering up or anything like that, or snarling.
I don't know. It still doesn't make them any less scary, but...
Yeah, I know, because we see them in films. We know the teeth are there. Like Jurassic Park, like they're so evident and apparent. They're like right out there, and that's part of what makes the dinosaurs, so fierce looking, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe they had lips like that, like a lizard. Not that so scary looking. It's just a harmless T-Rex.
They're still huge.
Doesn't change that fact. No, it doesn't. All right, let's check in on that severe weather risk for today.
Yeah, right now we had some storms overnight. The storms have lifted up to our north, and it should be quiet most of the morning into the early afternoon hours. You might encounter a sprinkle here and there. Contrast in temperatures, 30s to the north, 40s in Madison, 50s down in the south. So most of the morning into the early afternoon quiet, but we are looking at some storms later today. We'll have more on that severe weather potential coming up.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
This Friday, one day only, earn a 50-cent Hy-Vee fuel saver for every $50 you spend. That's a 50-cent fuel saver for every $50. Friday only. And only at Hy-Vee.
Hey Fitchburg, who are you voting for mayor?
Randy Udell understands how to balance growth and protect our farmland.
Randy is fiscally responsible, and he is a great listener. Randy is the inclusive, collaborative leader Fitchburg needs.
Randy Udell's earned my endorsement and the support of first responders. He'll make Fitchburg safer and more welcoming for everyone.
Hi, I'm Randy Udell. Let's move Fitchburg forward together. I ask for your vote on April 4th.
Well, I'll have another. Make it a double.
Dad, Mom thinks she's at a resort again.
Yeah, she told me.
When you'd rather not resort to a virtual resort,
This is much better in real life.
it matters where you stay.
Looking good, babe.
Hilton for the stay.
Good news! This just in. Your Ford dealers have fresh shipments of their award-winning SUV lineup in stock and ready for you to drive home today. Get your hands on a new Ford, the #1 brand in SUV owner loyalty, including Bronco Sport with standard GOAT modes, and Explorer, America's all-time best-selling SUV. And now, here's more good news. Choose FlexBuy on Escape and get 2.9% APR financing for 66 months plus $1,500 FlexBuy cash.
And now please welcome Anna Montoya.
Hello there, fellow students.
To everyone who believes in tradition, come enjoy a few of ours from Wisconsin.
People in Wisconsin love a good fish fry.
Really love. And we love sharing it with guests everywhere.
At Culver's, we still batter our North Atlantic cod by hand to order.
And we cook it to a crispy, golden perfection just for you.
For you.
For you. So it's crispy outside, flaky inside. Let us take care of you.
With some homegrown traditions we were raised on.
From Wisconsin with love.
Welcome to Delicious.
Hi, I'm Gary Canulti, and I'm inviting you on a holiday vacations tour. Join me as we explore classic Italy, October 7th through the 15th. Discover Tuscany's charming countryside, Venice's grand waterways, and the magnificent art of Florence. We'll also spend time in the ancient city of Rome, visiting historical landmarks such as the Colosseum and the Sistine Chapel. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword WISC, for more information and to watch a travel show. Or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
Soon you'll head to the polls to decide the balance of the Supreme Court. The choice is clear: an extremist or a common-sense judge, Judge Janet Protasewicz. She'll protect our rights and our freedoms. She'll be fair, impartial, and independent. Judge Janet Protasewicz believes in women's freedom to make their own decisions when it comes to abortion.
I'm Judge Janet Protasewicz, and I'm asking for your vote by April 4th.
This Friday, one day only, earn a 50-cent Hy-Vee fuel saver for every $50 you spend. That's a 50-cent fuel saver for every $50. Friday only. And only at Hy-Vee.
After the historic Trump indictment, we are covering some new reaction this morning and what happens next for the former president and current candidate. Also, some breaking news regarding a shooting on Tree Lane, how the investigation has taken a turn.
And we do have a severe weather threat later this afternoon through this evening. We'll time it all out for you coming up.
Welcome in on a Friday morning, everyone, and it's a busy morning here on News 3 Now this morning. Chris Stanford and Kelly Slifka with your first warn forecast. We have some severe weather risk later today. What are some of the main threats that folks should be watching out for?
Well, initially, we do have a tornado threat, especially to the southwest. Eventually, I think we'll see some strong winds come through the Madison area as we get toward about sunset. We do have a moderate risk of severe weather, not very often, maybe 8 to 10 times throughout the entire year across the entire country do we have a moderate risk of severe weather, but it does extend from Iowa, northwestern Illinois into Grant and southern Lafayette County, basically from Madison down to the south. We have an enhanced risk of severe weather. That's on a scale of 1 to 5, that's a category 3. Then a slight risk north of Madison toward the Dells. So we do have a first warn alert day later this afternoon into the evening hours. The threat for some isolated tornadoes initially coming out of Iowa. Then eventually, I think we're expecting some high winds to come through some Madison area as we get towards 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Once again, can't rule out a few of these tornadoes coming through, so something we'll keep our eyes out later this afternoon. Meantime, we had the thunderstorms overnight. May have woke you up after midnight. Those have now lifted up to the north. I think most of the morning into the early afternoon should be dry. It won't be until after 3 o'clock that we'll start to watch some of these storms fire up. Big contrast in temperatures, 30s to the north, 40s in Madison, already in the low 50s. Southern areas, looking at maybe an isolated shower late this morning into the early afternoon, but it won't be until 3, 4 o'clock. More activity expected to fire up. I'm expecting a line of storms to roll on through that may produce some damaging winds as we get into the early evening hours here in Madison. Then everything should wind down after 9, 10 o'clock. So if you're going to be traveling about, the morning should be okay into the early afternoon. Heavy rain, though, on the way home from work. And also, we are expecting some strong winds. We'll talk more about that. And also, some folks seeing some snow this week as well. We'll talk more about that coming up.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Now to our breaking news from overnight on the latest Madison shooting. Madison police are now ruling it a homicide. Police have identified 2 suspects, too. This is all in connection to a shooting that happened yesterday afternoon on Tree Lane. We do know both suspects have been arrested with the help of Sun Prairie Police and the Dane County Sheriff's Office. Those 2 suspects are now facing charges of first-degree intentional homicide and being felons in possession of a firearm. Now, it is our policy here at News 3 Now to not name suspects until they are formally charged. We do know the investigation is being handled by the Madison Police Department's Violent Crimes Unit. Now let's get to the big story of the day as we take a live look at Trump Tower this morning as sources say that former President Donald Trump is expected in court in Manhattan Tuesday. This, of course, follows the historic indictment surrounding the hush money grand jury investigation involving Stormy Daniels. Now, at this point, we still don't know what exactly the charges will be because the indictment is still sealed. However, sources are telling CNN that it will include more than 30 counts related to business fraud. Trump, meantime, is calling the indictment political persecution. His lawyers releasing a statement saying that they will vigorously fight this. CBS News' Jared Hill is outside the courthouse in Manhattan with what we know about the indictment and the reaction.
Heavy security and a handful of protesters were outside the Manhattan District Attorney's office overnight after a grand jury indicted former President Donald Trump.
We're witnessing American history. This is the first time a former president has been charged with a crime.
The indictment is under seal, though the Manhattan DA and grand jury had been probing allegations that business records may have been falsified to hide an alleged hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. This would have happened before the 2016 election. Key witness and ex-Trump fixer Michael Cohen claimed Trump directed him to make that payment. Trump has repeatedly denied it.
They have nothing.
Trump, who has launched a 2024 presidential bid, slammed the indictment in a statement as political persecution and election interference. Two sources familiar with the matter tell CBS News that former President Trump could be publicly arraigned here at the court on Tuesday, although the planning is still fluid and things could change.
He will be processed. He will have a mugshot. He will get a booking number. He will give fingerprints.
Multiple top Republicans came to Trump's defense last night.
I think the unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States on a campaign finance issue is an outrage.
This is going to destroy America. We're going to fight back at the ballot box. We're not going to give in.
Top Democrats have called for the legal process to play out peacefully and without interference, including Representative Nancy Pelosi, who released a statement saying, in part, no one is above the law and everyone has the right to a trial to prove innocence. Hopefully, the former president will peacefully respect the system. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The White House has not yet weighed in on the indictment, though we will see the president later today when he travels to Mississippi. Former President Donald Trump, of course, also the subject of other ongoing investigations, including the Department of Justice probes into the January 6th assault on the Capitol and Trump's handling of classified materials at his Mar-a-Lago estate. There's then the Fulton County, Georgia investigation. The district attorney there is investigating efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. Well, new this morning, we also have some local reaction to the president's indictment. We're hearing from some of our elected officials, including 5th District Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, a Republican, who said that the indictment of former President Trump is just the latest in the weaponization of government against conservatives. We're also hearing from Senator Ron Johnson, who says that with all the problems facing our country, a George Soros-funded DA issues a political indictment against a former president. Democrats, including Wisconsin Representative in the 2nd District, Mark Pocan, says that no one is above the law, not even a former president. As this story develops over the coming days and weeks, we will send out updates to the Channel 3000 News app. Make sure you sign up for push alerts. You can find the app wherever you get yours. Now to continuing coverage here in Madison. Police officers from the city and from Fitchburg responding to a shots fired call last night. They say 2 doors from separate buildings near Allied Drive and Mike McKinney Court were struck by gunfire. There are no reports of any injuries. However, both buildings did have folks inside. A total of 10 cartridge casings were found at the scene. Election coming up in a few days here on Tuesday the 4th. And one organization says a Cottage Grove church is stepping out of line. That church is asking congregants not to vote for a certain candidate. The Freedom from Religion organization says the taxpayers should not be subsidizing political speech from a tax-exempt entity. We're talking about St. Patrick Church here. The church, in their bulletin sent out on Sunday, Father Brian Dooley wrote that it's a moral sin to render aid to the cause of an abortion. As a Catholic church, as a Catholic, I urge you, for the salvation of your soul, do not vote for her in the Supreme Court race. Annie Lori Gaylor we talked with, who's the co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation, says that Father Dooley went too far.
Leafletting and going door to door, they have complete ability as a voter to make their mark, but they can't use their church resources or their nonprofit tax-exempt resources to do that work for them.
We also spoke with a constitutional law expert who says this situation's more complicated. Howard Schweber, professor of American politics at UW-Madison, says the courts have become unpredictable. The notion of separation of church and state has become more relaxed in recent years. Pastor Dooley responded by saying, "Thank you for allowing me to clarify. My heart's filled with love for you and for our nation. My comments are coming from a place of love. I don't want anyone of any faith to suffer eternal fire in hell for supporting the killing of the unborn. You are in my prayers." Well, doesn't that sound nice? That is Lucille Claridge, who just turned 104, and she's clearly still got it. Lucille says that her great uncle served under Napoleon, and she began playing the piano back in the Roaring '20s. She said there are many people in life that she misses, but she says doing what you love helps you remember what makes life worth living. I'll take that advice, Lucille. 6:39 here on your Friday morning, taking a look outside. Some of those rain showers moving on out of the viewing area. And we've got more severe weather on the way. The first real severe weather risk of the spring season. We'll track it all in your First Warn forecast. And we have some vaccine news ahead. The reason a major drug manufacturer is slamming the brakes on developing a new vaccine.
A teenager with the mental capacity of a 6-year-old, tricked by a predator on Facebook using a fake name, who then sexually assaulted her. It was pure evil. If Judge Janet Protasewicz was to ever take a stand for a victim, this was the time, and this was the victim. But she failed, again, placing the man on probation with a measly 60 days in the local jail. Tell Janet Protasewicz, stop letting predators off easy.
An important message for Americans age 50 to 85.
How's John? Oh, much better. That was quite a scare. Got us thinking about a lot of things, like life insurance. If something happened to either one of us, we'd really be in trouble. But where can we get coverage with John's health problems on a fixed income?
Go with the sure thing, Colonial Penn.
Friends have been telling friends about Colonial Penn guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance for more than 50 years, and with good reason. If you're between the ages of 50 and 85, it's a sure thing. Your acceptance is guaranteed because full benefits are not paid in the first 2 years. You don't need a physical exam, and we won't ask about your health. You cannot be turned down. And the price? Options start at $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day.
I don't know. What if the price goes up as we get older?
With Colonial Penn, your rate is another sure thing. It will never increase. That's because it comes with something you won't find in other policies, a lifetime rate lock. The rate you start with is the one you keep, guaranteed. And you should know this coverage can last a lifetime. Some insurance policies end once you reach a certain age, not this one. As long as you pay your premiums, it's yours for life. Call the number on your screen now, and we'll send you free information by mail. You have nothing to lose, because at Colonial Penn, your satisfaction is another sure thing. Every policy we issue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you've been thinking about getting life insurance to help your family with funeral expenses and other bills you may leave behind, call for free information today. There's no obligation, and you'll receive a free beneficiary planner just for calling.
Same time next week?
Sure thing.
Call 1-800-248-6940 for your free information and your free beneficiary planner. That's 1-800-248-6940. There's no obligation. 1-800-248-6940. Call now.
On abortion rights, do you want extremist Dan Kelly holding the gavel? Kelly wants abortion banned even in cases of rape, incest, and the health of the mother. He'll uphold the 1849 criminal abortion law that allows doctors and nurses to be jailed for performing abortions. And he'll strip women of their freedom to make their own decision on abortion. So don't give Dan Kelly a gavel with your vote. He's just too extreme.
It's a big goal.
If this becomes a sport in the WIA, that would be amazing.
And an invitation from the Green Bay Packers could help these young women put it in the end zone. Andrew Banstra catches up with Girls on the Gridiron, Saturday on News 3 Now at 10. News 3 Now's Call for Action team gets results.
We're taking action for you.
Nearly 700 cases closed, more than $500,000 recovered, and we're not finished yet. When you need help, call for action only on News 3 Now. You're watching News 3 Now this morning.
In our Health Watch this morning, a division of Johnson & Johnson has stopped developing its vaccine for RSV. The medicine was being tested to see if they could prevent potentially serious RSV diseases in adults over the age of 60. The company says it stopped the trial to refocus its portfolio and after an assessment of the RSV vaccine landscape. The vaccine was ready to move to late-stage clinical trials. All right, coming up on 6:44 on your Friday, let's get to Kelly Slifka and that severe weather threat. Kelly.
Yeah, that'll be developing later this afternoon into the evening, and we had some storms overnight, but none of those were severe. High winds, some hail, and we can't even rule out a couple of isolated tornadoes. This will be developing later this afternoon. Right now, things are quiet across southern Wisconsin. Go up toward the Adels, Camp Douglas, seeing a few showers. Madison, the roads a little bit wet yet this morning, but that's due to that rain that moved through. I think over the next several hours, we should be generally dry. It really won't be until the mid-afternoon hours. We do have a moderate risk of severe weather across much of Iowa into northwestern Illinois, even into southern parts of Grant and Lafayette County. On a scale of 1 to 5, that is a category 4. Very unusual this far north this time of the year to see that, but that's what we're dealing with. Madison areas to the south, we have an enhanced risk of severe weather. That'll be mainly developing after 3 o'clock up until about 8 o'clock. So mild temperatures this afternoon, temperatures in the 60s. That's out ahead of this storm system. On the backside of this storm, we are expecting some colder air to move in and a little bit of light snow waking up tomorrow morning. What a contrast in temperatures. That's what's going to fuel these storms later today. 30s to the north. We're in the 40s in Madison to Watertown, lower 50s down in Monroe and also Janesville across Dane County. We're in the low 40s in Sun Prairie and Wanakee. Starting to see some of those upper 40s show up in southern portions of the county. So that's that warm air that is clashing with some of that colder air to the north. So timing it out, maybe a shower this morning. I think most of the morning into the early afternoon should be quiet. After 3 o'clock, we're going to see some of these storms fire up over northeastern Iowa, northern parts of Illinois. Some of those storms rolling through the Madison area. 7, 8 o'clock may produce a line of some intense winds. Then everything starts to lift to the north by 9 o'clock, and we're into quieter weather later this evening. But by tomorrow morning, as some of that colder air wraps in, we're expecting some lighter snows waking up tomorrow morning. Accumulation of rainfall, maybe an inch, inch and a half for some, with some of these heavier storms rolling through. So the first warn alert day today for some of that severe weather, a little bit of minor accumulation tomorrow morning of some snow, and then we're looking at drier weather Saturday and Sunday.
Thanks, Kelly. The Henry Vilas Zoo is adding a brand new membership program benefit. Members at any level are now eligible for early access to the zoo on Saturdays. It starts tomorrow. Members will have access 30 minutes before the general public to see how staff get the animals ready for the public. Half of all money raised through membership goes directly to wildlife conservation. Last year, the Vilas Zoo raised $36,000 for conservation efforts. Zoo members will also get discounts on food, the gift shop, as well as many other benefits. Coming up in the morning sprint, the UW Board of Regents votes on tuition at state schools. And first, we want to say happy birthday to Madeline and all the kiddos turning 3 this morning, including my daughter. It's my daughter's birthday. She's not 3. She's turning 7 today. Happy birthday, Edith. I love you, honey. I'll see you today.
Sponsored by Three Bears Resort, Indoor Water Park and Conference Center in Warrens, Wisconsin.
Come to Slumberland and get 20% off our beautiful new furniture and decor during our Spring Spruce Up event. Plus extra discounts on recliners, patio, Sealy mattresses, and sectionals. Get an extra 20% off right now at Slumberland Furniture.
A man brutally attacked and sexually assaulted a woman. The victim spent endless nights unable to sleep, plagued by nightmares. Judge Janet Protasewicz called the offender many females' worst nightmare, but she cut his sentence to only 2.5 years in prison. Judge Janet's dangerous judgment puts our families at risk. That's why sheriffs throughout Wisconsin support Dan Kelly. He's the only candidate we can trust to keep violent felons off our streets. On April 4th, vote Justice Dan Kelly. Fair Courts America is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You've got this. Whatever it is, you're ready for it. Your newly purchased defenses, top of the line. Your backup, backing up. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with Access Checking. It's maintenance fee-free with no minimum balance requirements. So if your new house still has some old tenants, we'll make sure your checking account won't be giving you any surprises. You've got this with Associated Bank.
There were severe health complications with my baby when I was pregnant. We made the decision to have an abortion so our daughter wouldn't suffer. Dan Kelly doesn't believe that women should even have that freedom. On the Supreme Court, Dan Kelly will uphold the criminal ban on abortion. Someone you love might struggle with a pregnancy like I did. And that's why we can't have an extremist like Dan Kelly on the Supreme Court.
All right, team, we got a big project coming up.
And it all starts with ordering promotional products.
I'm on it.
4imprint makes it easy to get the logoed products you're looking for. The latest in apparel, drinkware, bags, high-tech items, and more. You can be certain of getting it right at 4imprint.com.
Come on out. I'm on it.
4imprint for certain.
You know, some old cowboys said if you climb in a saddle, you best be ready for the ride. I think that old cowboy was talking about the Midwest Horse Fair coming to Madison, Wisconsin, April 14th through the 16th. You best saddle up for a little family time with hundreds of horses, English, Western, and a big old rodeo. Hundreds of shopping vendors, and fill your belly with some of the tastiest food in the Midwest. Get your tickets before they're gone. Visit MidwestHorseFair.com.
I'm voting for Gloria because she will invest in nonprofits, entrepreneurs, and small businesses.
I'm voting for Gloria because she's going to make the opportunity of home ownership a priority for Madisonians.
I believe in Gloria because she supports body cameras for our police officers, promoting safety, accountability, and trust.
I have been drafted to run for Madison mayor because people know that I care about our city. Vote Gloria Reyes on April 4th. Let's move Madison forward together.
Sleeping in pain or too hot? Come to Slumberland and get 20% off mattresses. Find your perfect mattress with our easy rating system and save big. Get a Sealy Queen mattress for just $4.99. Only at Slumberland.
Spring savings of 25% at outlets at the Dells.
6:51, time for the morning sprint. We start with the latest on some breaking news from overnight in the latest Madison shooting. Madison police say that this is now a homicide investigation on Tree Lane. Madison police have identified 2 suspects in this case as well. Both have been arrested with the help of Sun Prairie Police and the Dane County Sheriff's Office. The suspects face tentative charges of first-degree intentional homicide and being felons in possession of firearms. It is our policy not to name the suspects until they're formally charged. We know the investigation is now being handed over to the Madison Police Department's Violent Crimes Unit. Well, for the first time in American history, a former president has been indicted. Donald Trump, according to sources that are telling CNN, faces over 30 counts of business fraud. The indictment remains under seal, but Trump will be instructed to surrender and face arraignment. Trump will still be under the protection of the Secret Service. He is expected in court in Manhattan Tuesday. UW system students will have to pay more to attend classes next year. The Board of Regents has voted to adopt System President Jay Rossman's proposal to increase tuition, fees, and room and board rates beginning this fall. How much of an increase depends on the school. No suspects in custody this morning following a shooting yesterday afternoon on Madison's west side. Police say one person was shot multiple times in an apartment parking lot on Tree Lane. My apologies, this is the story we just ran with the update that the shooting has been ruled a homicide and that 2 people are in custody. Meantime, the 2 children who fell from a cliff at Governor Ridge State Park Wednesday are now out of the hospital and expected to recover. Authorities say that a 6- and 4-year-old fell from these rocks right here. The DNR says the fall happened in an area that is not on a designated trail or maintained by park staff. They say anyone hiking on the bluff is doing so at their own risk. Well, a scare yesterday at Joint Base Andrews, and still no suspect in custody after the base was locked down for several hours because of a report of an armed man on the base. It's frequented by the president, of course, who was not there at the time. Again, no suspect has been found after a sweep of the base, but there is an increased security presence there today. An update now to a story we brought you as breaking news yesterday. Residents in the small town of Raymond, Minnesota, getting to go ahead to return to their homes after a train derailment. A train carrying ethanol and corn syrup went off the tracks and quickly caught fire. It required a half-mile evacuation. No injuries were reported and no harmful chemicals were leaked. Now to another update from breaking news yesterday. We now know that 9 people died in a crash involving 2 Army Black Hawk helicopters in Kentucky. The helicopters were conducting nighttime training exercises when the scene turned tragic. Officials say the medical evacuation helicopters belonged to the 101st and crashed in a field near residential areas about 30 miles northwest of Fort Campbell. An update on the Pope this morning. The Vatican says that Pope Francis has spent a second successful and peaceful night at a hospital after recovering from bronchitis. The Pope was taken to Rome's Gemelli Hospital Wednesday after complaining of breathing difficulties. Officials say that he's doing much better, undergoing treatment, and with the help of antibiotics, he should be discharged in a couple days. Turkey has finally approved Finland's application to join NATO. It puts an end to months of delays while also continuing to block Sweden from joining the military alliance. The Turkish parliament voted unanimously in favor of Finland's membership yesterday, clearing the last hurdle in the accession process. Turkey will approve Sweden to NATO once land disputes over Ankara and Stockholm have been resolved. Millions of years after dinosaurs ruled the earth, the skeleton of a giant T-Rex is going to be auctioned off in Switzerland. The giant carnivore expected to fetch $5 to $8 million. It's 12 feet tall, 38 feet long, and is only the third such creature to ever be put up for auction, and the first one in Europe.
Good morning. 5 minutes away from 7 o'clock. First warn meteorologist Kelly Slifka after the storms overnight. We've got some dry weather now for the next several hours going into the early afternoon hours. And it's a much milder morning. We're at 46 in Madison, 52 in Janesville and Monroe. As you plan your day, we are looking at dry weather generally into the early afternoon, but after 3 o'clock, we'll start to see some showers and storms start to develop, and some of these storms may fire up enough to produce some isolated tornadoes and some gusty winds and some hail, especially in the Madison area, I think between 7 and 8 o'clock. That's looking like when we do have the potential of seeing some damaging winds. Then everything should be drier after that, at least for a time. Temperatures today in the lower 60s as we'll look for that severe weather potential later this afternoon through the evening. The first warn forecast brings in a chance for some snow tomorrow morning, and then we'll look at some drier weather on Sunday. Another big storm system looks like next week.
All right. My co-maker Leah Linscheid is going to be back on Monday from maternity leave. We'll have a news and weather update in 30 minutes.